Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a real treat for you all. We're going to look at something pretty exciting. So, back in the late 1970s, a young comic reader wrote into the Marvel team and asked, "What do superheroes like to eat?" Just random things out of the refrigerator, apparently. The Marvel team, or at least Stan Lee, thought that this was a very good question and set out to make the first Marvel cookbook, only to discover that no one at Marvel knew how to cook, or at least I'm assuming that's what happened. I've read the cookbook. Stan also thought this was a great way to indoctrinate children into the joys of eating liver, and thus the mighty Marvel's superhero cookbook was born. I've known about the cookbook for a little while, but just recently I came across some scans online, which I'll be giving a link below in the description so you can also take a look at these scans. They provided several interesting tidbits. If you take a look at the back of the book, you'll see a name sticker, which I'm assuming is the previous owner of the book, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that she has the same first name as me, so we got some Virginia solidarity. I don't know if Virginia was the one that was warning us against this frosting recipe. I mean, I appreciate her warning here, but this almost guarantees that I am going to make this frosting recipe. You cannot tell me, don't use this recipe, and expect me to actually follow your good advice. Captain America promises that the recipes in this cookbook taste and smell marvelous, which we're going to just have to take his word for that, because this cookbook was published in 1977, and cooking in the 70s was a lawless wasteland. There are ingredients that I've never even seen before. Dr. Doom's lima bean chowder requires a bag of frozen lima beans in cheese sauce, which is a combination of things I've never even heard of existing. I'm also not sure what soups to nut means. Is Dr. Doom going to do something obscene to my soup? I'm uncomfortable. Let's look at something else. There's a lot to see here in this cookbook, a lot to wonder about. Because Iron Man always had such huge nipples and I just didn't notice, possibly there to distract us from the fact that Thor is about to murder Ant-Man. But you guys can explore the whole thing at your own leisure in the comfort of your own kitchen. I think that the best way to showcase the cookbook is to make some of these tasty recipes. So to do that, let's go to the kitchen. Alright, here we are in my professional studio cooking show kitchen, filming live in front of a studio audience. And by studio audience, I mean my cats. They might wander around and eat some crumbs off the floor. They're very helpful, very good at cleaning up. So today, I'm feeling snacky, so let's cook just a few snacks from the cookbook that are going to be really easy to cook, just simple to get into. I think anybody can figure it out. I mean, I certainly hope that we can figure it out. If I can't, we have a problem. So, today's menu, we are going to be making party stuffed celery. We're going to make English peanut butter and applesauce muffins, and then we're going to make cocoa crunchies. And a few of these need to chill, so the order I'm going to do them in, we're going to start with our cocoa crunchies, we're going to do our celery, and then we're going to finish with our English peanut butter muffins. So for our cocoa crunchies, we are going to be using 2 cups of sugar, 1/3 a cup of cocoa, 1/4 cup of margarine, 1/2 cup of milk, 3 cups of quick cook oats uncooked, 1 cup of crunchy peanut butter, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So I have all our ingredients out right here. We've got our sugar. I have the cocoa. We are going to be using some fancy cocoa because this is the Marvel cookbook. We got to be fancy here. We're not using margarine because this isn't the 70s. We're going to be using butter. Not necessarily this amount of butter. This might be a little too much. We've got our milk. I gotta go grab my oats. I'm not doing mise en place here. I'm terrible French cook. We are not gonna be using crunchy peanut butter because I don't want to go buy crunchy peanut butter. We're using creamy peanut butter and we're just gonna deal with it. And we have our vanilla. So without further ado, let's get mixing. So the recipe instructs us to bring this chocolate mix to a boil and then continue to let it boil for 2 minutes, and that to me seems a little strange. Anytime I've made a recipe where I was melting chocolate, you don't really want it to boil. You have the possibility you're just going to burn your chocolate, which we're not using chocolate, we're just using a cocoa powder, but I'm not totally sure boil is the right option in this situation. So I'm just gonna let this mix up really well and get the butter completely melted so we have a nice smooth chocolatey substance to work with. I'm not gonna go for a full boil. So now we have our beautiful chocolatey oat mixture, and we are gonna plop this down on our wax paper somehow, because I only have one hand at my disposal. That is spreading out quite a bit. Hopefully this isn't gonna just form into one giant oaty chocolatey peanut butter blob, which I don't know, that might be pretty delicious. The shape doesn't matter. It's all chocolate and oats and peanut butter. Actually, that looks just pretty good on its own. I might just... Do we really need to chill this? We could just eat it straight out of the bowl. That looks pretty good. So a little change of plans here. As you will see, I have my beautiful Cocoa Crunchies laid out to chill in the refrigerator, and you also see I have a buttload of Cocoa Crunchy mix, and I don't have nearly enough space in the fridge. You don't want to see the fridge. It's a little scary in there right now, but I have a solution to that problem. We are going to do a little bit of a bootleg Rice Krispie mix. So I've got my Pyrex, I've got my wax paper. We are gonna fill that up. Alright, Cocoa Crunchy mix is all spread out. Now both of these are ready to go into the fridge, and in that time we can work on our next snack. So while our last recipe was the one I was the most confident about, our next recipe is the one that I am the least confident about. My notes for this section of the video simply say, I am afraid, and you'll see why. We are making party stuffed celery, and that will require 4 celery stalks, 3 ounces of cream cheese, softened, 1 tablespoon of tomato catsup, and 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, because God has forsaken us. And we're going to combine these, and we're going to stuff these into celery, and then we're going to eat it. Yeah. So I've got my celery. I have my cream cheese. I kind of forgot to soften it. This will be fine. All right. We have we have ketchup. I'm not sure at what point America decided, you know what, we need to change the spelling of this condiment. No longer will it be catsup, it is now ketchup. And we have peanut butter. This recipe does require regular peanut butter, so this works this time. I hesitate to use the term works in relation to anything relating to this recipe. I'm also quite glad this does not require chunky peanut butter, because I can't even imagine how much scarier this recipe could get. Well, let's just make this. feel like I'm gonna get arrested for making this recipe. Oh my god. The ketchup smell is very overpowering. That's really all I'm getting from what's happening here is just ketchup. Like maybe, just maybe the barest hint of the peanut butter, but it's just, all I'm getting is just ketchup. Oh my goodness. The cream cheese did need to be left on the counter for a little longer. I did take it out right when I did the preparation for the cocoa crunchies, but still it is not necessarily wanting to mix super well for me. And Lord knows I'm not getting a hand mixer out just for this abomination. This doesn't deserve the hand mixer. Alright, I guess the inevitable has come. It's time to do some stuffing. So let's take... It didn't exactly mix up perfectly, and that could be just my own fault, not getting the cream cheese softened enough, but that's what we're going to be stuffing our celery with. Alright, alternatively, the recipe does specify we could stuff our celery with many variations of our favorite goodies. We could try tuna fish, we could try egg, we could try salmon, we could try chicken salad, we could try some deviled ham spread. I almost would rather be stuffing deviled ham spread into my celery. I actually have a good amount of hard-boiled eggs. We could get some egg salad stuffed in these. I love me a good egg salad, but no, we're stuffing some cream cheese, ketchup, and peanut butter. I do want to note that we are using the nice dishes for this recipe, only the best for my viewers. There we go. If you have any potlucks coming up with people you don't like, this is perfect recipe. Excellent, excellent potluck recipe. As I'm making this, like, the smell keeps changing. I don't know how to describe what's going on. Like, a second ago, the peanut butter was starting to come forward more. Now, like, now I'm smelling, well, actually, that smelled more like peanut butter. Then the cream cheese was coming forward, but there's still, like, this undercurrent of ketchup. There is a whole argument happening in this bowl. I just don't know how to describe it. I am afraid. I am afraid of what this is gonna taste like. Oh my goodness. So we have the tiniest bit left in there, and it sure would be a shame to let that go to waste. So we're gonna make just one really strange deviled egg. I betcha we can make something. Alright, so now all of this beautiful, bountiful feast, this is going to go chill in the fridge for about an hour. If you can wait that long, I know it looks very, very delicious. I mean, if you don't tell anybody what it is, it might not look that awful, really. Well, we're going to let this chill in the fridge, and then we're going to make our final dish. Alright, we are down to our last recipe, and that is English peanut butter and applesauce muffins. These will require peanut butter, applesauce, 2 English muffins split in half, and 4 slices of American processed cheese, each slice cut into 4 strips. So we are once again using our peanut butter today. I have got my applesauce. We have got our English muffins, and we don't use processed cheese in this house, but what we do have, because we got a good deal at Costco, is some shredded Mexican blend cheese, and that shouldn't be any different. Things cannot possibly get any weirder, which honestly, it was kind of normal until we got to the shredded cheese. So I do understand that it's an old traditional favorite to take your apple pie and then just put cheddar cheese on top, which I don't completely understand. It sounds like one of those Midwestern hot dogs in the Jello salad type things. I'm just gonna go with it. So let's see how this turns out. So the pie comment got me thinking. This is kind of some weird miniature version of putting the cheddar cheese on the pie. And that reminded me, I do have some streusel topping that I've been keeping in the freezer that I put on cinnamon rolls at one point and banana bread recently. I think this, I've already put cheese on this. It couldn't possibly get any weirder. And hopefully, if it is weird, the streusel might actually help. I'm going to top one of these with a little bit of this streusel, and we're going to see exactly how that works out. That, we should be good there. Alright, that looks like food. So there is our beautiful snack, and this is gonna go under the broiler for 3 minutes. What I'm gonna do, we're gonna broil this on low because that seems to be the safest way to broil things. When you broil things, you really want to watch it like a hawk, because I just burnt the crap out of some garlic bread the other day, and that was not a good time. So just a PSA for everybody that's going to be broiling. My family never really broiled things when I was growing up, so expanding into the vast world that is broiling sometimes hasn't gone super well for me, so just be careful with that. Just checking in with our live studio audience. Hi, Claudia. Are you excited to try the party stuffed celery? Claudia might legitimately like the Cocoa Crunchies. She likes chocolate. She's not supposed to eat chocolate, but she sneaks into it sometimes. Is this burning yet? Light. Doesn't look like anything's on fire. Okay, shut up, oven. There we go. So I ended up giving these 1 more minute under the broiler. That kind of looks like refried beans now, and that scares me. The streusel actually browned pretty well, but it still looks like refried beans. So that scares me a little bit. Now there is a meal. I will say, if you handed that to me and asked me to guess what it was, I'd still be saying refried beans and cheese. Peanut butter, applesauce, and cheese is not exactly what I would guess. But we are going to see how this all tastes. So here all together is our beautiful assembled feast. Our applesauce, peanut butter, the Cocoa Crunchy stuffed, I forgot what all of this is called already. I don't know what anything is. That looks good though. I have high hopes for that. This section of the table, I'm not quite sure, but we are just gonna have to find out. Oh great ghost of Stan Lee, please bless this bountiful meal of Marvel superhero snacks that I have before me. Amen. Well, I suppose the best thing to start with is what is theoretically still nice and hot and still looks like refried beans. I'm fine with refried beans. I mean, I don't really like beans in general. Refried are fine. It's just that this became so bean-like. That's what concerns me. But we're enough talking. Let's eat. All I taste is the peanut butter. I was worried because of the cheese. All I'm tasting is the peanut butter, which no complaints, because apologies for eating with my mouth, or talking with my mouth full rather, but I use peanut butter on English muffins all the time, so that's very normal for me. I'm kind of getting the applesauce, and I'm really not tasting any of the cheese. These are all a plus in my eyes. There is kind of an odd flavor going on, and maybe it's from the applesauce, maybe it's from the cheese. I don't know. It's working. I'm gonna try the streusel bite next to see how the streusel adds. It smells good because of the streusel. I'm getting more of the applesauce. And I do like the texture of the streusel on that. That's pretty tasty. I'm not getting the cheese, which, again, I don't think that's a really bad thing. That's actually pretty good. I have no complaints with that. But you can kind of see the cheese on this. With that first bite I took, the cheese just kind of comes off here. It has not adhered to this, and that may have been just a effect of me using shredded cheese and not the strips of processed cheese as I was supposed to. You know what? That's a thumbs up. That's a good snack. I like that. Cheese isn't the first direction I would go in. Actually, maybe actual apple slices. You know what would be really good? You get your English muffin, your peanut butter, slice some apples, top it with streusel, put that under the broiler. That'd be really tasty, because you get that apple pie goodness without having to go through the 10,000 years of effort to make an apple pie. So, you know what? This here, the applesauce, peanut butter, I don't remember what any of these things were called. That's a thumbs up. Now let's have a little palate cleanser. Let's get a little milk. Because we have quite the ordeal ahead of us now. I did get a second opinion on the smell of these, and the peanut butter is what's coming through the most. And of course, now I'm just really smelling the celery. So we got our peanut butter, ketchup, cream cheese, celery sticks. Bon appetit. I'm very much getting the cream cheese, a little bit of the peanut butter. The ketchup isn't really coming through, thankfully. Like, it might be, there might be some whispers of ketchup coming through. For the most part, it didn't actually have a lot to say, which I'm glad. I was afraid. Of course, I'm going to be chewing for the next 5 years because it's celery. I'm going for another bite. Actually, I'm going to eat... We're going to go for the egg because this way we get a really good bite. Well, actually, here. I'm going to eat the straight filling because this way I don't have egg. Little bit of the peanut butter. I actually do get the sweetness of the ketchup. Now I'm tasting the ketchup. It's not bad. It's just confusing. It doesn't... I'm not sure. This is another thing where if you handed it to me and asked me to guess what was in it, I wouldn't really guess. I would just assume there was some kind of like really mild pimento cheese going on. Actually, pimento cheese would be good in celery, but it's just kind of a confusing scenario. There's different voices that are not really shouting over each other, they're all just whispering, and so it's this quiet, muddled conversation of a celery snack. That's the best way I can describe it, but it's not bad. It's just weird. I think the real weakest point of this whole thing is the celery because it's just so laborious to eat. Celery is one of those things where you gotta do something to it other than just adorn it. You gotta put it in some chicken noodle soup. You have to braise it in some chicken stock. That's actually really good. If you've had braised celery, that's the most delicious celery you'll ever eat. This is kind of just the vehicle of a weird, quiet conversation. That's what this celery is. But I'm going to go ahead and see what this egg ended up doing. Once you introduce the egg into the conversation, does the conversation change? Does it take a more positive tone? Does it go to weirder places? I don't know. So there's a little bit of a verbal disagreement going on between the peanut butter and the egg. They're not full on fighting. Nobody's voice has raised yet. But we have two dissenting opinions. It's flavors that aren't necessarily going together. That's the best way I can describe what's happening. Oh, let me do a second bite. I still really don't think I would pick out the ketchup. Like, the ketchup is the person that's in the group but can't get a word in edgewise. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we don't want to know what ketchup has to say. Maybe this is a positive. So I am rating party stuffed celery a resounding out of 10. That's really my best answer for the celery, but I do have some other people that will be able to sample this later today. I'll be able to get some second opinions on that. I'll add in the official scoring system for this household on the party stuffed celery. So now let's once again cleanse my palate. And now we're on what I was most excited for. Just watch these be like the worst thing. They can't possibly be terrible. This can't possibly be terrible. There was a lot of butter. There's peanut butter. There's chocolate. There's oats. Actually, because this is a gluten-free recipe, I do have a friend I would absolutely make these for, because he can't eat gluten or he will go through indescribable pain, and we don't like indescribable pain. So let's try some cocoa crunchy, crispy, I don't remember what they were called. Oh, heck yeah. That was good. That is really good. I was expecting, so they're not crispy and they're not crunchy. They're very chewy, but it's in a good way. It's very chocolatey. And I did use a good quality chocolate powder. And I do love oats. Sometimes oats do have a little bit of a, my mom describes it as a wet paper texture. So if you don't like the oats wet paper texture, you might not be thrilled about this, but I think that's really tasty. You get a lot of chocolate. It's not quite fudgy. It doesn't quite have that just richness of fudge, but it is getting very close to that. Yeah, that's 2 thumbs up. These are good. I'm just gonna sit here and eat these for the rest of the episode. Try not to talk with my mouth full here, but now that I've taken a second bite, I'm also noticing the granulated sugar does give it this nice little bit of a crispiness, for the lack of a better word. You get a tiny bit of a crunch from granulated sugar. If you're making fudge with granulated sugar instead of like powdered sugar, you will get a little bit of that kind of a crunchy, sandy, but not in a bad way kind of texture. It's kind of good. Normally with a fudge, you want a really smooth, melt in your mouth, ooey gooey kind of texture. But if you only have granulated sugar to make fudge, it's not going to be bad fudge. It's still going to be really good fudge. And these are good. I like these. Stan Lee, this is a good recipe. That is this right here, our cheesy thing. You know, that's serviceable. The cheese doesn't have enough to say, or maybe that's a good thing. And this, I don't know what the hell's going on at all. There's just a conversation that's muffled, and I'm not understanding it. So that's a thumbs up. Like, yeah, that's a and this is a double thumbs up. So yeah, I'm just gonna eat these for the remainder of the day. These are tasty. But on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. This was definitely an experimental video. I really did not know what I was doing. I do really like to cook, so doing more recipes from this cookbook and doing more commentary on like the process, on what the end result is, that's something that I would definitely love to do. So let me know if you have any recipes from this cookbook that you want to see me try. Anything either super weird or something a little more normal, let me know and I will be happy to do that. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great time eating, I guess. Eating, reading comics, whatever you want to do. What do you think, Claudia?